Date 2. At a BBQ party, my wife announced her pregnancy not with me, but with my best friend. Everyone cheered, expecting me to collapse. My best friend said, "I've been doing your wife for a year, and you didn't even notice, loser." I raised a toast, smiling, just like I did with your daughter. You're going to be a granddad surprise. Their faces turned pale. Minutes later, the police broke in, and the real nightmare began. But Scarlett held up a hand. "Stop, Willow," she said, her voice low. "He's right, we did sign a prenup. The house belongs to Jonathan." I could sense Willow's tough facade losing ground. "But you're not going to just kick us out, are you, Dad?" I didn't answer. Instead, I walked out, leaving them to stew in the possibility. Later that evening, I hovered outside the kitchen, listening to them. "Old habits die hard, I suppose," I heard Willow whispering. "See? He'll never actually throw you out. He's bluffing, you're the love of his life." Scarlett didn't sound convinced. "You don't know your father," she said softly. "He can be downright ruthless when pressed. Remember, he's an ex-Army Ranger." "Did you know about everything he did in Afghanistan?" "I only know half the story, and that's enough to scare me." Willow huffed. "He's not going to do anything. He's just a cranky old man who's in for a shock. We'll see." In that moment, all I could think about was how they had no idea. I discovered some darkness in me during those military years, something cold and methodical. I tried to pack it all away under my suits and ties, but they had ignited a fuse. I retreated upstairs and let the household tension sit. The gauntlet had been thrown. Few realize that once you challenge a cornered man, you'd better brace yourself. The next day, I went straight to see Ron Jeremy, my lawyer since college. Despite his cheesy name and the jokes it invited, Ron was the sharpest lawyer I had ever met. I'd confided in him countless times, and knew he'd relish a complicated request. When I told him I wanted a post-nuptial agreement designed to lock down Scarlett's potential claims, he asked a straightforward question. "Why not just file for divorce?" "Too simple," I said. "I want to see how far this goes. I want them to experience the repercussions of asking for an open marriage, without me quietly rolling over, like some dog." He smirked. "You're a bigger cynic than your old man ever was." "All right, let's see these conditions." I laid out my plan. A rock-solid postnup that spelled out property rights, disposal of assets, monthly testing for STDs, disclaimers about children, born from outside lovers, and no allowance for extramarital partners to enter my home. Ron, reading my notes, let out a low whistle. "You are going for the jugular, my friend." I thought of my father's stoic face. "I'm just establishing boundaries they claimed they wanted. Let them become reacquainted with reality." 2 days later, we gathered in Ron's office, me, Scarlett, Willow, and Scarlett's newly appointed lawyer, a tall, elegant woman named Leah. Leah's pinched expression grew more severe with each page she read. When she reached the final section, she slapped the paperwork onto the table. "This states," Leah began icily, "that if Scarlett files for divorce while this open marriage agreement is in effect, she forfeits all possible alimony or spousal support. She cannot claim the house, she cannot claim the business. And she's barred from bringing any partner to the marital home. That includes James or anyone else." Scarlett frowned hard. "Jonathan, that's too much," she said, glancing toward me. "No support at all if you walk out on me for your new lover." I said. "Why should I finance that arrangement? I'm simply upholding what we agreed on before we married. My father's prenup was thorough. But this clarifies the parts about an open arrangement. On top of that, you pay for your own dating expenses. Your share of the household bills remains my responsibility, but your little extracurriculars are on your dime." Willow chimed in, her voice sharp. "You're humiliating her, Dad, this is disgusting." "No," I said, turning to look Willow in the eye. "Your mother is free to do what she wants. You told me yourself that love isn't about money, so I'm sure she can handle a date or two. And if James is as well off as you claim, he won't let her pay for anything anyway, right?" Scarlett inhaled slowly, then with forced calm said, "Fine, I'll sign. Leah, let's just finalize it." Leah twisted her lips. "It's unorthodox, borderline unconscionable." "I'm comfortable with it," Scarlett insisted, raising her chin at me. "He's trying to intimidate me, but I'm not scared." Willow pressed her arms tighter across her chest and glared. "Mom, are you sure?" Scarlett nodded. "I'm sure." Ron pushed the documents forward, and Scarlett signed. She looked at me with defiance, as though her pen strokes were an act of rebellion. Part of me almost admired the boldness. But another part of me wondered how blind she was to think she'd keep any real advantage here. Over the next few weeks, I went on autopilot at the office. I functioned as usual, deals and expansions, meetings and phone calls. But outside, something new stirred in me. A kind of analytical malice. Scarlett wasted no time arranging her date with James. Willow cheered her on, calling me behind the times, and even openly mocking me at dinner. "Hey Dad, you should try Tinder. I heard even old folks can get a match or two." I kept my composure. The day of Scarlett's big date arrived, so I deliberately planned an elaborate move of my own. If Scarlett wanted James, the owner of a fancy restaurant, then I, ironically, would see if his daughter Maria might be interested in some company. She was 22, my daughter's age, yes, but also a legal, consenting adult with her own life. We'd spoken a handful of times at various events. Maria knew exactly who I was and disliked her father's arrogance. It seemed she was looking for a chance to rebel against him. I reached out, somewhat half serious, half curious, and to my surprise, she accepted an invitation to dinner. That evening, as Scarlett was set to meet James, I took Maria to a private function at a luxury hotel. The event was part of a charity fundraiser for veterans, something I related to in a quiet, personal way. I introduced Maria to some associates as my date, and she handled herself with poise. She wasn't just some airheaded college girl. She was intelligent, holding her own in conversations about global finance and the complexities of running a business. People watched us, some in confusion, some with smirks, but I didn't care. All that mattered was the statement. If Scarlett and Willow thought I was too antiquated to find a date, I wanted to prove a point. It didn't take long for word to spread. By the next morning, Willow was screaming her head off in the living room when I returned home. "You took James's daughter out," she shouted, fists clenched at her sides. "What is wrong with you?" I shrugged off my jacket, ignoring her theatrics. "I took a consenting adult to a charity function," I said calmly. "Your mother spent the night with James in some hotel, right? She's free to do as she pleases, I am free to do likewise." Willow's eyes blazed. "You're sick. She's my age." I turned to face my daughter. "You're telling me age is just a number when it's your mother, but unacceptable when it's me." Interesting double standard. She wanted to retort, but no words came. Instead, she let out a frustrated huff, turned on her heels, and stomped away, retreating into her childhood bedroom. Scarlett never brought it up that morning. Though her face was pale, and I could sense the tension in her posture. She left for errands with a forced smile, refusing to invite conflict. The next major confrontation happened one weekend in the living room. I was seated in my armchair, reading the latest financial reports, when Scarlett, red-eyed and furious, marched in. Willow trailed behind her, arms folded defensively. Scarlett stood before me. "I want to close the marriage," she snapped. "Enough of this game. You're disrespecting me, humiliating me in front of everyone by dating James's daughter. I didn't sign up for that." My eyes flickered to hers. "You wanted an open marriage, Scarlett. This is exactly what open means." She tossed a stack of envelopes onto the coffee table. "I'm done, Jonathan. I can't handle my own daughter seeing me degraded like this. I can't handle seeing my own husband flaunt a younger woman. Okay, it's humiliating, let's end this farce." I saw Willow nodding vigorously. "Mom's right, this was definitely not the plan. You're making a mockery of us." I forced myself not to laugh. "The plan," I repeated. "Did you think you could waltz in, tell me you're having an affair, and I'd stay home like a convenient ATM? Paying for your escapades, while you enjoy your new boyfriend's company? Did you assume I wouldn't fight back?" "This isn't a war," Scarlett said, her voice wavering with a mix of anger. "Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more."